If you only knew the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.
Right, good afternoon everyone. How are you all coping with your hangovers? What's a hangover? Okay, yeah. So you're still drinking, right?
There is one in my bag.
Yeah, see, admitting it already. Goodness. Who would have thought that at Play Expo? So thank you all for joining us. Incredible amounts of you here, especially with all of your hangovers or still drunk. We do appreciate it. So obviously now we have got 4 incredible content creators, and I'll get them to introduce themselves more properly in a minute. I think you guys probably all know who these guys are, but we're still going to do that because that's how things are done. And yeah, then we're going to basically let you guys ask lots of questions, despite the fact we know who a lot of you are, and that's clearly dangerous. So, we don't know how this is going to go, I'm going to be honest, but that was the direction I was given, so please blame the incredible guys over at RetroUnlim if this all turns into a hysterical shambles. Yeah, he's holding up his hand, he's taking full responsibility, any legal purposes, full responsibility right there. Right guys, so thank you all for joining us. It's brilliant to have you all here. I'm going to get you to go down in order and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, just in case anyone doesn't know. So pick on you first, Kim.
Okay, no worries. Right, hello, my name is Kim Justice. I'm a YouTuber, like all these other people here. I do documentaries about old computers, ZX Spectrum, the Commodore Amiga, consoles as well, Sega Megadrive, all the people who are involved in them, the companies who made all the games, and I tend to do various other little bits as well on whatever topics come to mind. I crap post a lot on Twitter. I try to have an Instagram account and don't use it for about 2 years and then throw it again. I'm not good at things, but somehow I've got a sort of following, so yeah, that's me pretty much.
That's remarkably modest. You're a walking encyclopedia of knowledge. Tamara, do you want to introduce yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm Tamara Cade. I'm also a YouTuber, and I make... my main thing is making videos, like sort of comedic style reviews on games and systems that I just find to be interesting, really. My first of which was the Clockwork Knight review for the Sega Saturn that came out in January. And my most recent one being a review of the BBC Bridge Companion, which I think is the worst console of all time, as it cost the equivalent of £600 in today's money and could only play bright yellow side of Bridge and nothing else. It has no sound capabilities whatsoever. See, I'm getting like sort of angry at it right now.
There will be some
Sounds like a lot of the
for
guests.
that console.
A lot of the guests here might enjoy it in that castle.
Yeah.
It's a kind of masochistic console. Like,
Yeah.
I only buy it if you really don't like this thing. Right, Lady Decade, would you like to tell us a little bit about your work?
Hi everyone, I'm Lady Decade, and again I'm a YouTuber, but I'm primarily a mother, which is why I don't release videos quite as frequently as perhaps I should. If you come onto my channel, my most recent video is a rather delightful collection of very, very sensual, sexy Sonic Bad fan art, which is absolutely delightful. But apart from that, I actually like to cover arcade games, so being here at this event is absolutely brilliant for me because it means I can actually have a go on something a bit more technologically advanced than a Raspberry Pi. So, apart from that, I like to inject a bit of humour into my videos, and by humour I mean what I think is funny, which is generally not funny. But again, if you want to see a pretty face talk a load of rubbish about arcade games or consoles occasionally, then please head over to my channel.
Yeah, you'll notice when I was putting out tweets about this panel, I did not share any links to the aforementioned Sonic video. and stuck with the Cadillacs and Dinosaurs arcade port just for everyone's sanity. Ara, would you like to tell us about what you do?
Yeah, hi, my name's Ara. I'm going to wave because I always do. Hey, hi.
They're waving back.
Yeah, so I'm Ara, or Arabelle, or Arabelli, or Aravel, depending on who is actually saying my name at any given point. I'm the only one on the panel that doesn't make YouTube videos. Yay, being different. I stream on Twitch, which means no editing. It means I don't have to put in half the effort that these guys do, which is why it works for me so well. I play mostly indie and retro games, and I am obsessed with playing adventure games. I might be counting.
You've introduced me to a lot of very interesting point-and-click adventure games I did not know existed.
And then I have achieved my mission.
Yes, I have no free time anymore. I haven't left my house apart from to come here in about 6 months. But when I'm not playing point-and-click adventure games that I'm forced to play by Ara playing them, showing how awesome they are, I also make some YouTube videos and Twitch stream when I'm not hosting panels. I've done a whole range of things, including indie and retro games. Do a lot of indie interviews and play a lot of indie and retro games on stream as well. Nonsense and gaming. Like, so this is a running theme, I feel. And they've let us loose on this panel. Clearly they haven't watched any of our content. So, quite ill-advisedly, I think I'm just going to say, does anyone want to ask any questions? Yeah, we've got some hands going up. Let's see what people come up with at this time on a Sunday at Play Expo.
Hello, panel.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Clark.
Hello. I'd like to know how all of you got started and what made you want to become YouTubers, or in Ara's case, a Twitch streamer.
Yeah, should we go down, same order, picking on you again, Kim?
Yeah, okay, I'll start. So I got started, it was around about 2012. My degree is in video production, so I had like, aspirations of being a filmmaker, involved somewhere in the industry, I guess. And after my first year, I kind of had a long summer break, and I thought I kind of need to get my skills, keep them fresh. So I just started making YouTube videos. I've always loved games, like since when I was about 5, I've got ZX Spectrum. So I kind of didn't stop playing since then. So I did a little review of Space Harrier 2, Super Thunder Blade, a lot of Sega stuff, because there wasn't that much of that on Sega sort of back a few years ago. It was mostly like Americans talking about Nintendo and using compound swear words and pretending to be the angry video game nerd. So I wanted to do stuff about games that I liked, and the channel just kind of evolved from there. People seemed to gradually like it more and more, and then I got into doing like documentaries and so on, and it just went from there really. And I've been doing it now for 7 years, and it's a full-time job.
Hi, well, I've been gaming since I was basically like an embryo pretty much, like as far back as I can remember. I've been started playing on the NES, and yeah, I can't remember any time before that. So I've been gaming my whole life, and yeah, and then I just started getting into watching a lot of gaming videos on YouTube, such as Kim's videos, because you know they're phenomenal. And I just thought, right, you're most welcome. And I just thought it looked like fun, and I've always liked creating things, and I just thought of, you know, create my own videos and just looked like a good laugh.
Lady Decade?
So I first got into gaming when I was very, very small because of my nan. So I don't know how many people in the audience have got a grandparent who introduced them to gaming, but I did. Like my nan started out on like a ZX81. So I was born in 1989, which makes me the big 3-0, and my nan started sort of getting me to sit on her lap while she was playing games like Donkey Kong on the SNES. So for me, that's my earliest gaming memories, playing games like Donkey Kong. But apart from that, I grew up with sort of PlayStation and so on. So coming back to the question, my husband actually has a YouTube account, and he's got enough subscribers for me to not shamelessly plug his channel, Gaming Man. And And I've been working behind the scenes on that channel since its birth. So my husband taught me how to edit, he taught me how to film, he taught me basically how to do everything. And I actually used to also help write his scripts. But I always found that slightly frustrating because I would want to inject my own humour into it, and obviously if I did, it would then get written out to sound like he'd written that section, which he did not, mostly. So I fell pregnant back in 2018, and it was starting to come to the point where I was going to be going on maternity leave, and I just said to Richard, I was like, I can't just not have something to do, I'm going to be really, really bored, because he was at that point earning enough money to be able to support me to be a stay-at-home mum, which is obviously the dream for most people who want to do that sort of thing. And that's sort of how the channel started. It was something extra for me to do, but what I didn't anticipate is that having a baby takes up a lot of time, and something that you start getting into hobby-wise. As a baby gets bigger, you suddenly start losing that time. He's sleeping less, he needs more attention, so I don't get videos out as frequently as I would like to, but apart from that, it's sort of been a slow process. It's nearly the 1 year birthday for my channel, so that'll be good, although if you ask me what date my first video was out on, I don't know.
Well, almost happy birthday to the channel. And also, said baby was playing on the arcades, racking up quite a high score on Space Invaders, so I expect the third channel from the family will be out by next month. How did you?
Well, I've been gaming for 33 years, I think. I'm really giving my age away there. I started with a Tandy home entertainment system, which,
Classy.
yeah, I mean, now the thing is an antique. It's still around Mum's loft, I think. It had those lovely dial controllers, 6 game modes. Started with a Pong-type tennis game. And from there, it evolved to the Master System, the Megadrive, the PlayStation, all the way up to being a PC gamer like I am now. And I originally started with YouTube, but it was too much work. And I found that I was overly critical with my content. I would edit out all the bits that I thought people would find entertaining. And a friend of mine said, why don't you try streaming? See how you like that. So I tried it. Couldn't edit out any of the waffle that I usually come out with, any of my swearing, any of my creative words that I come up with, and people loved it. And I loved being able to game and share the gaming with other people at the same time. And it really was that community aspect that kept me coming back to streaming. I do occasionally think, I could make a YouTube video on that, and then I think, I can't edit to save my life. So, yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah, I started YouTube by accident. It sounds like quite difficult to do, to film a load of videos, edit them and upload them by accident. But I originally intended to make a short amount of videos as a showreel, with the idea of then getting work on other YouTube channels and other productions and things. After a while I realised that everybody in the world that says I'm going to run a YouTube channel, would you like to be a presenter on it, never makes a YouTube channel. And it's been nearly 4 years now, and I've had to accept I'm a YouTuber because I'm still making videos and putting them on YouTube. So it seems silly to say, no, I'm not, I'm just making a portfolio, because there's hundreds of things now, it's got a bit out of hand. And just to make that even more out of hand, I've started streaming as well, which I did partly as an experiment and partly just because of the community aspect as well kind of drew me in. And people kept telling me I was quite funny in real life, and that I might want to put a camera in front of that. So I did, and things go wrong quite often, and it's wonderful how funny the communities are on these platforms, and the amazing interaction that you get with people. So it's very different. So I'm doing both, and at very different points in both those journeys, and it's brilliant seeing the difference between the two types of communities and the two types of content that you get to make as well. Shall we ill-advisedly ask the crowd for another question? Raise your hand if you'd like to embarrass us with questions. Yeah, more hands, I'll paraphrase it that way, I think. Who have we got running around with the mic?
Yeah, me, I'm here. Wait.
And pick anyone. They're all going to ask us something terrible.
So you mentioned the community in the last couple of things, and it's kind of often said that the community is one of the best things about being a gamer, and very occasionally also one of the worst. So what's the nicest and the meanest thing that you've seen in your comments or chat?
We'll go for the nicest thing because we don't feed the trolls. So if you want to tell us the nicest things you've had from the community, comments-wise?
Comments-wise, I think both publicly and on YouTube, generally most of my comments are pretty good. I mean, I always tend to get a lot of people who are quite thoughtful, actually intelligent, and offer good responses on my videos. I'd say that the nicest comments generally, though, when it comes from someone who... You often get comments from people who maybe have gone through a bit of a dark time, and their videos, and when they say, you know, your videos kind of helped me a bit through that, for whatever reason that dark time was, that's quite, you know, heartwarming. That's, you know, you'd think, you know, didn't expect to be able to do that with my channel, or, you know, some of the people that you kind of end up touching with your videos. It kind of opens your eyes, because I suppose when you're doing a retro gaming channel, you might have a sort of stereotype, of a quite narrow stereotype of just what your audience is, like what maybe their interests are, but that stereotype is usually completely wrong. Like, there's all different kinds of people from all sorts of different situations who end up watching your stuff, and so when you get certain comments, or you get that, I mean, someone yesterday wanted me to say hello to their little kid on their phone, which was really touching, as like kind of one of the things that really kind of made my expo. Just things like that really, they're kind of the really nice moments, I think, and make it all worth it.
Yeah. What's the nicest one you've had tomorrow, Kate?
Just thinking, like, so far, all of my comments have been quite positive. I'm not bragging, and, you know, don't start with all the negatives. You know, if I come after this and I've just got loads of horrible things on.
Well, you have made the best video about a hedgehog that's not Sonic.
Exactly, you know. And from that video, I got some good comments, like from people that like hadn't heard of the game and wanted to check it out. And I think it's quite good to, you know, sort of dig up an old game that has sort of been forgotten and just put it back into the spotlight. And also as a creator, it's really good when other creators, like the ones that inspired you to get started, compliment you on what you've done. Like, for example, with the Hedgehog Spiky Harold video, the Nostalgia Nerd, who's one of my favourite YouTubers, at the end of one of his videos, because he did a video on it shortly after mine, he basically put on a big thing at the end to come and check out my video, and that was great for the channel. That like doubled my subscribers pretty much overnight. And
well, they knew you found a game before the Nostalgia Nerd, the hoarder of hoarders, and you found a game before them.
Yes, I think that's probably the best comment, like sort of comment to double my subscribers. So.
Yeah, that's always handy. What about you, Lady Deppy? What's the nicest comments you've had?
I would say that, again, not bragging or anything, but about 99.99% of all of my comments are generally really nice. So the ones that stand out for me would probably be things like, I agree that that duck from Bucky O'Hare is a duckhead too. Or things like, these sexy pictures of Sonic have made my day.
And that person was never heard from again. They're currently in a corner rocking slowly backwards. I couldn't even finish that video. But I mean, I'm not supposed to be helping encourage people to watch every video on the channel apart from that one. Everyone's just going to watch that one now.
It is currently my lowest viewed video. So if everyone in this room watches that video for me, it will still be my lowest viewed video.
If you do, we're not liable for...
Yeah, and any sort of psychological damage caused by Sonic fan art is not liable to either RetroUnlim or Play Expo or any of us. We just need to make that clear so that the lawyers can see that on the tape.
some things are just too sexy.
And on that note, Arabelle, what's the nicest comments you've had in your community?
I think because a lot of the things that happen for my comments are actually in real time, and I have a fantastic gang of mods, some of whom are in the front row. Hi mods. They tend to troll anybody who turns up at my chat to troll me better than the trolls could even think about it. Plus my mods troll me more than anybody else ever has done. But I think for me, the nicest comments are when people say that I inspired them to try streaming. And watching me bumbling around on Twitch for a couple of hours, 3 times a week, made somebody else decide, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to try this. I'm going to just lay my personality bare on the internet for all to see and just show them my love of gaming. That makes it all worthwhile if I have to actually ban somebody myself because they're all too busy taking the mickey out of me themselves.
I think for me it's been a mix. It's lovely to see when you inspire someone, and because I like bringing sort of unusual retro games, indie games, or events and things to people's attention. Someone saying to me, "I never would have found this game if you hadn't made a video on it." That's always really amazing because I feel like I'm helping out not only the people that made the game, the people that want to play games, and just helping bring something different as well, which is always good fun. Other than that, there's a small child that turns up in a lot of my videos of one of the Comic-Con events playing lots of games, and he wants to be a YouTuber when he's older, so his dad comments on his behalf and he's credited on the videos when he pops up. And he's absolutely adorable, and he's really good at Mario Kart. He's like 5. I was getting slaughtered. And I think for me as well, it's like it's just seeing comments like that, seeing people say, "I never would have found this if it wasn't for you," and knowing, I've inspired this little 5-year-old who's now probably considers himself, he's probably more famous than me. I sometimes forget to put my own name on my videos, but he gets credited. So he's famous, he's up there. Right, does anybody else want to ask a question? Raise your hands. And we will pass the microphone to you. Where's this microphone going? I know some of these people, this is dangerous.
Hello, panel. I'm a big fan of your non-gaming videos, like the Oasis documentary, for instance. I just wanted to ask the rest of the panel, is there any sort of like non-gaming topics they'd like to cover in the future?
Right, we'll start. We're just going to pick on you every time, Kim. this is an hour-running thing.
Okay, there's loads of, I've covered various topics, I say the Oasis one, a couple of wrestling ones that might got me into a bit of trouble with some Japanese TV companies over some periods. I always fall about with something. The weirdest one I probably did was one I did on a 16th century faith healer. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I think I've been watching Hopkins' Witchfinder General and just immersed myself in Vincent Price and the music of Cathedral and I thought, hey, that would be a good idea for a video, and it got about 2,000 views, so but it was fun to make, so I like kind of doing all sorts of different types of videos. I like sometimes going out and vlogging like events like this, or doing stuff with Sophia, my girlfriend, where we go and eat things. I watch so much YouTube of all sorts of different things aside from gaming, so I tend to think, maybe I should do something like that. And occasionally, sometimes it works. Sometimes it's people are like, this isn't really what you expected, but then it's cool to mix up your channel like that and, make them expect the unexpected, I feel.
Yeah, what would you cover tomorrow?
I've always been a big fan of music, especially like rock and metal kind of music. So if I was to do something outside of gaming, I'd cover that. I've always been really interested in like the history of heavy metal and all the different subgenres, and the bands and the people in those bands and everything behind that, and history of albums and stuff like that. So that would probably be what I'd go for.
Yeah, there's quite a big crossover between heavy metal and retro gaming.
Do we have any other metal heads?
Any metalheads in here? That's basically the entire audience and one very scared person It's good to know, we're in good company. It wasn't very good, maybe I think.
For me, definitely travel. I'd like to do videos, which I'll probably put on my own channel if we can. No, I'll stick with gaming on my channel. But if I was to do any non-gaming related videos, it would definitely be travel. And it would probably mainly be to prove that having children doesn't tie you down, because they're portable, they have legs and hands, and I just feel like I've received so many comments from people in real life or family members saying to me, oh, you can't go all the way to Blackpool from Essex with the baby, oh God, you can't do that.
You just have a Game Boy.
No, there he is.
You've got intense levels of Sonic on the way here.
So yeah, that would probably, I mean, we do a lot of travelling anyway, so it's something that would be easy to do. So that's what I do.
What about you, Ara? Well, if you've ever been to one of my streams, you'll know that I may be playing a game, but conversation generally devolves to action movies and what's your favourite cheese, for example. So, I don't know, maybe some sort of... I'm obsessed with things like cinema sins and all that sort of thing, so maybe we could do an hour reviews a movie without actually showing the footage, because I'll get told off by it.
Review the movie whilst eating cheese.
Yes, and probably cake as well. Cheesecake! Brilliant!
All bases covered.
Fantastic. Yeah, something like that, maybe some sort of snarkastic commentary on action movies, because I'm obsessed with early 90s action movies.
Well, they are the best action movies. Demolition Man is the best. It is. I think everyone generally would agree with that one. And if they don't, they're wrong.
Exactly.
I haven't seen it.
Can we get security? We will lend you the DVD.
We should probably reenact it for you, actually, between us.
So the eternal question is, if you guys like Demolition Man so much, what do you think the three shells are used for?
We all know, we just aren't going to tell you. It's a secret. Only the true Demolition fans know the answer, because we looked it up on Wikipedia. My channel covers a reasonable amount of things as well as games already. I cover indie comic books and movies and anime and other various bits and pieces that generally involve me talking non-stop in front of a camera about, well, it was supposed to be a review of Alita Battle Angel. However, after an hour I realised I'd only got through talking about off the cuff the differences between the comic book, the animated OVA and the film. I hadn't actually started reviewing the film at all, so I just changed the title of the video. So I have considered perhaps changing up some of the stuff with the streaming and just talking about movies for 3 hours straight, because I could do that without stopping for a breath. I don't know whether or not anybody would put up with it. They're waving, they're putting their thumbs up. You haven't heard me rant about why I don't like the Xmen movies. That's like an extra, that'd be an 8-hour stream. So yeah, I already cover quite a broad range of things, and I mix some of my travels in as well, by going and doing geeky things in countries like Japan, and going and videoing myself in front of the giant Gundam statue, which I may or may not have proposed to. They told me I wasn't allowed to bring the Gundam statue home and park it in my lawn. I think they were very unreasonable. Anyway, can we get any other questions for you guys? Who else wants to ask us something embarrassing? Raise your hands and make yourself known to the lovely man with the microphone. Hello.
Hi. Just a quick one. What is that secret sin? That one game that was really bad but you really loved to play?
Action 52!
Nobody loves to play Action 52. They love to hate themselves playing Action 52. That's masochism, not love.
That's got to be old masochism.
It's wrong. Action 52 should be banned from mention everywhere for the sanity of everyone involved.
It's just one of James's fins, isn't it?
It is. He has to make himself known, doesn't he, the gaming user? It's almost like he's famous and really good on a guitar. Apart from Action 52, what terrible games do you like, Ken?
There's a few, I think. There's a Megadrive game called Beast Wrestler. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. It's really bad. It's pretty much uncontrollable, almost unplayable even. You just don't know what to do. It's got the worst translation, I think, of any Megadrive title. It's got characters that basically blobs. But I kind of like that. I kind of like balls as well. You know, balls. Weird 3D fighting game. It's so terrible. It's got unlistenable music and it's just such a ridiculous concept. But I played it so much when I was a kid. It's just there's something so stupid about it, and I don't think there's been any other game like it since, and probably for very good reasons. And yeah, it's one of those games that always sticks to my memory.
For me, it'd be Cybermorph on the Atari Jaguar.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Like, I know it has a really bad reputation, but I really don't think it needs it. I know that it's got like that sort of untextured, low polygon count sort of graphics, but I really like that style. I find it's got a really nice charm to it, and yes, that.
Helpful advice. The AI in that game gives you helpful advice because you aren't always flying into walls. It's a valid question.
Yes, and that bit pops up, like where did you learn to fly? But
It's like GLaDOS's grandmother.
yeah. But after you've been playing it for like 20 minutes, half an hour, you get the hang of the controls, you start, doing alright, and you don't hear that as much, and you just get on and play the game. And yeah, I'm not saying that it's anything phenomenal. I'm not saying, oh, it's a game that you absolutely must play at some point.
I'm saying that.
But it's good, and I really enjoyed playing it. So yeah, just please give it one more chance.
How about you?
Right, before I give this answer, I was a kid, alright? So I didn't have much choice in what games were bought for me. My mum got me both of these games, so don't judge me. I had to enjoy what I got, and she weren't the best. I mean, I had a PlayStation 1 for years without a memory card, okay? Right?
Still be friends.
Right? So, on the PlayStation 1, my really bad game that I really loved was 102 Dalmatians.
I wasn't expecting that.
Followed up by, on the PlayStation 2, Mad Maestro. But none of you even know what it is that bad. It's a rhythm game. It's a rhythm game. With classical
Mad Maestro.
Yeah. That was the... Oh, I'm not allowed to swear, am I? It was a great game when you had nothing else to play. Like, you just sat there and hit the X button. That was the only button you needed in the whole thing, and just like classical music, and you had to just press X in time to the music. It was painful after a while. And you had to make sure that you either pressed it softly or medium or hard. So, yeah.
Well, they use the analog buttons, but that puts it in the same class as Metal Gear Solid 2.
Absolutely. They were just really economical with their use of buttons. They were just making sure the other buttons didn't get worn out on your controller. Right?
I did manage to actually get quite good at bobbing my head to a beat after this, by the way. I found the beat in classical music.
Something very similar to the fact that we didn't have much money when I was a kid, so we had games that we had to share because I have a younger sister, and anyone who's got a younger sister knows that that means that whatever they want, you get bought. So my sister was, I can't believe I'm going to admit this in front of a group of people and a camera, was obsessed with the Spice Girls.
We're going.
Yes, she is your age. Yeah. She has got past this phase, I feel I should point that out. But we had Spice World, the game on PlayStation 1.
Spice World.
Yes! And I have to admit that after hours and hours and hours of watching my sister play it and getting more and more frustrated, I did master every single song dance routine.
Sounds like Stockholm Syndrome.
I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember most of them now, so I think I could probably still do it.
That's something to put on your CV.
I will add it.
Yeah, there's definitely other interests. Help, I've played every level on the Spice one.
This actually reminds me of another really bad game that I actually loved. Has anyone ever tried playing Dance Stage Euromix without a dance mat?
You just use your fingers like the legs on the buttons, it's fine.
Yeah, then it was like... oh no, it was the directional buttons, wasn't it? That's literally
Thinking out of the box.
I didn't even use my left hand.
Well, the incredible Cybermorph has already been mentioned, and it is an amazing game, and I definitely made the right choice by choosing to buy the Jaguar while my little brother bought a PlayStation. I have no regrets there. But yeah, I'm a massive fan of the Jaguar and Atari in general, and I, as well as loving Cybermorph, which I found incredibly relaxing and zen-like when I wasn't playing Tempest 2000, which I played so much I used to dream it and think I'd got further in the game than I had. But one of the other games I absolutely adored on Jaguar, which the reason I bought the Jaguar was Iron Soldier. Just because I saw someone else's older sibling with it. You can be a giant robot and walk on tanks. Like, I needed no other convincing to part with all of my birthday pocket money, Christmas money, and everything else for the next 10 years. Because that was living the dream for me, walking on tanks in a giant robot. It didn't matter how bad the collision detection was, it didn't matter that you sometimes sort of went through buildings and didn't actually destroy them. And it's terrible, but I played that for weeks and I have no regrets. Anybody else want to ask us a question? Raise your hands. Oh dear, there's quite a few of them.
Hi. So could the panel clear up a question for us, which is the best, Zelda or Mario?
Zelda or Mario?
Characters game.
Zelda.
I haven't actually really played either. Shall I hand in my game of cards now? Yeah, I was a Sega kid, so I never really played either. I think I had Mario on the Game Boy, so I guess I'll have to vote for Mario.
Yeah, I played a lot more Mario than Zelda. I played a bunch of Zelda. I love Link to the Past, but then that's who doesn't. I love the original still. But yeah, it'd have to be Mario, just because I played so much. Again, I was much more of a Sega kid, so a lot of like the Nintendo classics and I say something like the Nintendo RPGs and that I've not really played that much, so yeah. You know, I like Spectrum and SNES. We don't have those sort of games. They're not for me.
Even though I love Mario, I've got to say Zelda.
Somebody's sabotaging the mic because it doesn't agree with their answer.
Well, so yeah, Zelda, definitely. It's just Link's Awakening on the Game Boy is my favourite game of all time, so that probably has a bit of a bias towards it, but I just love so many of the games because Link to the Past, the Oracles games, Breath of the Wild is absolutely incredible, and well, to be honest, I've not played a bad one. I've not played a bad Mario game either, but I would still say Zelda, you know, beats it.
Is the winner. Do you have any more to add to your answer, Lady Decade, or was the mic drop just enough?
It should be just enough because I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I've had a go on the Super Mario games. I'm just really bad with platformers, and I personally am a weeb, so I do prefer the. I just prefer the Zelda games. I haven't played some of the older titles, but I have played, for example, Twilight Princess and all of those following. I've had a go on all of those. Played Ocarina. I haven't had so much of a go on Majora's Mask, which I have heard is pronounced as Majora's Mask. Right, let's discuss.
No, it isn't. That's pronounced as Majora's Mask. Everyone knows
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I know.
Who would have pronounced it? Was it my? I can't do it. Even say what?
But no, the Mario games, so I just don't get on with them. And even like the good ones, like Mario Galaxy, and I find it personally too tedious to have to run around looking for stuff. Who's they don't agree with me.
I disagree strongly.
Sorry.
All right.
They're too hungover to charge us. We're fine.
I'll hiss at your panel. I have nothing else to say on it really. Just I'll dye my hair blonde soon.
I think for me they're just two different beasts, really. If you're saying sort of like Sonic or Mario, then I was very much a Sega kid, and the choice between being a plumber and being a super-powered hedgehog going at the speed of light, I would say no contest, and I'd go with Sonic, but that wasn't the question, that's just me starting an argument. When it comes to Zelda and Mario, I mean, obviously Mario is a classic platformer. If you like jumping around, collecting blocks and things, then that's your first port of call. If you want plot, however, the princesses in another castle is not a plot, and you're going to be looking more at your Zelda games. Because I was mostly a Sega kid, I didn't play them enormously back then. I have played Majora's Mask, I love Majora's Mask. But I mostly played them around friends' houses with lots of arguing over puzzles in Zelda and lots of arguing over how to do levels in Mario, and then went back to my nice, safe world of Sonic 3. Alright, who else has got a question? Raise your hands! Wait like you just don't care. We're cool. Oh no, somebody is! Stop them!
Sorry.
Hello.
Hello?
Who needed their eardrums?
A little too close to the mic, sorry. What game would you like to see remastered in the same fashion as the Spyro games and Crash Bandicoot?
Ooh. Who wants to go first? We start pick on Kim again.
Sorry, I was waiting for the inevitable shout from you, so. I don't even know about the 3D platformers. Actually, no, I have one, a 3D adventure series that I really used to love back in like the PlayStation. Well, I say adventure, like action game, lots of kind of still. I love the sci-fi filter games, one and two especially, and I would love to see those remastered. I mean, a lot of that kind of things is of their time. They're kind of like one of those stealth games where even if you get spotted, like your little toe gets spotted peeking out the corner, it's like you've lost the level. Mission failed, but I have so many fond memories of that game, and I'd like to see that kind of get that sort of treatment that those games got, Crash and Spyro, because they kind of did a good job with those. So yeah, let's bring sci-fi filter back.
Hi, oh yeah, I'm using the wrong mic. I forgot that one's broke, so sorry. Well, normally, like for this question, I'd say the Panzer Dragoon games, but now the first one's like getting remade, so maybe the next ones will. But I really hope that does extend to Panzer Dragoon Saga, which is an amazing RPG. It's so different than any other because it's got a very unique battle style. But the problem with it is that it was only released on the Saturn. It's quite an expensive game nowadays, and the Saturn is known not to be, not to be the best at emulation. So the only way you can really play it and get the full experience is to shell out the huge money for the original. So I think it's well overdue getting a remaster and getting, the full works that you can get with a modern upgrade and have that get put into the modern system so more people get to play it and experience it. So I really hope that one will get a remake at some point.
102 Dalmatians. No, speaking seriously, I've got several that I can think of off the top of my head. Croc would be the first one. Again, I would also go with don't laugh at me, the original Eidos Tomb Raider games. I know they did like an actual remake on the PlayStation 2, but if they did like a faithful HD remake of the proper original games, I would love that. They were brilliant. That was like feminism at its best in like the 90s. Like, who doesn't want some giant pixelated boobs? Like, it was brilliant.
Well, it's like Madonna. It pointed tits.
Oh god, absolutely. Absolutely. And like the guns with infinite ammo as well. That was just brilliant. And also you can't, so like Tomb Raider 2, the first thing you kill is a desperately rare Sumatran tiger. Like, who doesn't want to be involved in that kind of...
I'm just thinking about knocking the battle in the fridge in 4K.
Yeah, that's the only bit they need to make. That's the only bit of the game that anyone played. And since you didn't have a memory card, you probably only played that bit.
I spent so much time stressed out, lost in a maze in my own back garden. It wasn't good. It was much better when I got my quad bike, like ring thing. That was much better. But yeah, apart from that, I'm trying to think if there's any other games which I've played. I didn't have many. 102 Dalmatians, I suppose, will have to be it then. We'll get some HD dogs running around. Oh, there we go. What about Nintendogs? More of an adventurous adventure mode on that. I'll put that down now.
For me, point and click puzzle adventure lover, I'm gonna have to say the Discworld games.
Yes.
I would love to see them bring in more Discworld characters that were created after the games came out, more adventures, and just it's purely selfish because I want to stream them.
I think that's a good enough reason to demand a company completely remaster and expand a game.
I mean, from the noise in the crowd, there's a market for it.
Come on, hopefully they're watching this and
Well, they should be.
And they will start getting on this. That would be awesome. I'm tempted to just say something like Action 52, Cyberwar, or something like that. I quite like how bad some of the old games I used to love are, so I'm not sure I want them to be remastered, because I quite enjoy them for what they are, especially with some of the old school sprite animations and things. I love the limitations within the development and the way it forced creativity and made them do things that sometimes worked and sometimes really didn't. And I like looking back on them. So I'm not always in favour of stuff getting remasters. I kind of like my Tomb Raider with, just 2 polygons for a head. I used to play Tobal No. 1 on PlayStation 1, which is an awful fighting game. Awful. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Excuse me? Yeah, it's awesome. It's by Square. It had Final Fantasy VII demo on it.
Yeah, that was
That's the only thing people played, but it had that.
The demo's good, yeah.
Its name is very similar to Toblerone, so...
I don't recommend eating the game, though it would have the same health benefits. It would probably be better than playing some of the games I used to play then. So yeah, remastering stuff, that's quite a difficult question, because I don't necessarily want them to change. I'm one of those people, and they said, we're making another Final Fantasy VII, and I went, no! And I hadn't even watched the trailer. And I was like, no, have an open mind. We've changed the combat system. No! I haven't even looked at what the combat system is, so I'm just already annoyed. Which I have no right to be, because I can just go back and play the old one again. So yeah, I'm one of those people who slightly sometimes says, leave them as they are, as I remember them, as I think they were, and then I'll just leave them all nicely in their collector's boxes and pretend they were better than they were. Right. What other questions we've got? Immediately we've got some hands going up at the back there. It's a very quiet individual, very sensible, quiet individual. Here we go.
Hello, ladies.
There's no one throwing him out yet. That's a deep brown voice.
You all awaken one morning to find yourself on an island. You don't know why you're on this island, and a voice tells you that it is YouTuber Battle Royale. A fight to the death of the YouTube gaming community. What is your weapon of choice, and who wins?
I'm going to jump in and say the massive mallets that they have in that Sonic beat 'em up, but I can't remember the name of. What's that called? That terrible Sonic beat 'em up that didn't even come out over here. Yeah. I think so. Sonic the Fighters, wasn't it? The Fighters, just because that made it sound more important. And Amy's got like this massive Harley Quinn style mallet that's too big for her to possibly wield. I'd have that and just kind of squash the opposition and run away. So I'd win by legging it.
A ZX Vega Plus.
You'd also put bacon with it as well.
Cut everyone's heads off with the edges.
It's vicious, I like the tactics. My answer already sucks. Next one.
Mine would be a nuclear bomb and nobody wins. No,
It's funny because it's true. I didn't expect this to get so real.
no, in all seriousness, like a tank, you know, run people over.
From which game?
There's loads of games with tanks. Oh, okay, I'll change it and I'll go for like Armoured Core, and it'd be one of my own big custom mechs and that, because then it can be really cool and garishly coloured. So I'd be able to come at you in some kind of technical nightmare. Like, you know, imagine Tom Baker's coat put in a blender, then like that's been put into like an explosion in a Dulux factory. That's the kind of thing that I'm going for.
Confuse the opposition with kind of that. Is that Jackson Pollock? Boom. Yeah. It's a good tactic. I like it. How about you, lady?
Okay, so, right, so I need a bit of clarity here. So are we going to have like job classes? Are we picking out different types of weapons? Am I doing this a bit Skyrim style? Am I doing this like dress spheres from 10-2? Or like, I could be a songstress, couldn't I? Like, I could just dance past everyone.
You can have any weapon from any video game that you want in any context. If you want to run around with a mace from Skyrim, you know, you can do that. If you want to walk around with a phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range, you can do that as well. You know, it's entirely your choice.
In which case then, I am going to say that I am going to be, I will be a nightingale from Skyrim. I will use a bow and arrow, and I will also be very good at sneaking. I'll get all of them stats up, and I'll also make sure that I hide in really good places, and I pick me to win because I feel like I would. No, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yes, well, based on the depth of answer you've just given, yes, I said, who am I?
No, you won't get close to me because I'll be like climbing up a tree with a range of weapons.
Also, my tactics are I want a cartoon mallet, so I'm not winning anyway.
No, you cannot possibly. No, I'm thinking this through properly. Like, I'm aware.
This isn't really happening, is it? I can't say the word I am.
I'm going to go with full armour set, so I've got like better avoidance, better stealth, better sneak, better lock picking.
And I've got a cartoon mallet.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
I know there was a reason I normally answer the questions last in mine. Alright. What makes you feel any better? I was going to go with a grav hammer from Halo because I can't aim, I can't track people when they're running around. I lose concentration really quickly, so I figure that'll cover a big area. And
you're dead first.
I'm dead first! Yeah, I'm okay with it. You've got an army of platypus. I do have an army of platypus. But I figure that it would cover a big area, and it'll be a lot of fun. You know, just see people flying out of the way. I haven't actually killed them, but they're actually like giving me a little bit of extra life for a couple of seconds. All very varied answers. I'm slightly terrified.
If you went down the Skyrim route, then you could become a vampire, and then you could just suck blood. There we go. No, you can't be a daywalker in the add-on pack on Skyrim. Yeah.
Right, they're teaming up. This is all getting too realistic. I'm scared. We need another question.
Wreck yourself.
We get another slightly less terrifying question. Raise your hands if you have a less terrifying question than that. Less people.
So, what's that one game that no matter what you play, you always find yourself gravitating back towards?
Pick on you first, Kim. Surprise.
Thank you. There's a few like ones on PC that I just always seem to eventually come back up. Probably as a big wrestling fan, any of the 5 pro wrestling games. I might not play it for a month or so, and then I'll be like all of a sudden setting up another like big like load of people, like set up like a federation or something and get something going and just enjoy like playing a match. Now, although I don't really kind of play that, I kind of see it. Another one would be Binding of Isaac, Rebirth. I've played that for a lot, and it's like, and it always ends up being I'm kind of bored. Play a bit of Binding of Isaac. Downwell was another one recently that kind of got me almost took me over a bit for like about 3 months. I barely released anything because I was too addicted to that. That's like £2 on Steam. Probably the best £2 I think I've ever spent. So yeah, props to that one.
For me, recently, it's probably going to be Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel because that has basically become my religion now. I just have to keep going on and do the races every day to get my Wumpa coins so I can unlock more stuff and then get more characters, do the Grand Prix, try and get those limited decals that you can get after the end of each Grand Prix, and I'm just like, oh no, I need to do my Wumpa times. And yeah, it's quite addictive, and I play a game and then I'm just making sure I'm slotting this in as well when I can. So yeah.
For me, I've got 2 games that I find myself always gravitating back to, and they're both quite modern games. So for me, it would be Fallout 4 and The Witcher 3.
Yes.
Are my 2 games. Again, because I just love a game that you can properly immerse yourself into. I like Fallout 4 for the fact that it's such a good RPG in the sense that you really can choose who you are and what you want to do, and whether you're an arsehole or whether you're really nice, and so on and so forth. And I am always such a face when I play that game. I am a proper baby face in that game. Every time. But Witcher 3, I just, because I really love a proper fantasy adventure. I mean, CD Projekt Red, I mean, they nailed it on that game. They really nailed it. And for me, that is such an immersive experience. Like, you can really get in there and you can visit as many brothels as you like. And it's not cheating on your girlfriend. It's in Skellige.
Ara, would you like to follow that? I'm not sure you can follow that. For me, it's probably my longest term relationship in my entire life, and that is a very love-hate relationship, and it is World of Warcraft. I can leave it alone for a year, 18 months, and it's weird. Someone will mention it on Twitter, or there'll be a new expansion pack that just further ruins the game. But it always makes me want to go back. And I've been playing on and off for about 13 years.
A horrible ex-boyfriend.
A very horrible ex-boyfriend. It never lets go fully of me. It always keeps making me come back, taking all my money and my free time.
Well, I've never played World of Warcraft.
Don't start.
No, I saw it when it was announced. It was invented, and I went, wow, I love RPGs. This is one that never ends and eats your money. And I banned myself from ever making an account. And people kept telling me, you should play this, and I said no, because I will have no qualifications from college, I will get no qualifications to university, I will never have a job, and I will never do anything else ever again. And I stuck to that, and I have never ever made an account even to log in to play it. But my love of RPGs is probably the games I go back to the most. I picked up a couple of old Game Boys and Game Boy Advances and stuff when I was out in Tokyo, and to test they worked, I put a copy of Luna Silver Star in there, and about 3 hours later, I was like, no, I'm not playing this game again, I'm just testing that this Game Boy works. Now I just need to test this next Game Boy, 3 hours later. So I think some of those story-driven games will really, really pull me in, especially the Luna games and the original Phantasy Star games pull me in so immensely with the stories. And then I realise it's been a month and I've not left the house, and there's dinner is cold next to me and someone's shouting at me for rent or something. They just always pull me back in, and I have to be very careful when I'm allowed to play them. And that's another reason that starting Twitch streaming is quite handy, because it gives me an excuse to do that and sort of vaguely maybe pretend it clearly isn't work. Yeah, I think that's going to be an ongoing theme, an ongoing passion, really, what I'm streaming. We're kind of running out of time. Do we have time for one more question? Two more questions. Ooh. All right, who wants to do the last two questions?
If you could have an AI character from any game, and just to preface back, Skynet doesn't count, and do whatever you want with it, which character and what would you do?
It's a dangerous question. Kim?
Let me think about this. For someone else.
That's a tough one.
I've got an answer. Just referring back to The Witcher 3, there's this wonderful elf in the Passiflora in Novigrad, and she can do anything you like. If money's not an object in that game, and I sell a lot of swords from dead mercenaries and bandits, like, you can go in there, it's only like £40 a night, or however, whatever their currency is, so, it's not, what is it? It's not florins or orens. What is the actual currency? I don't know anymore. Huh? Crowns. About 40 crowns. It's not that expensive, and that's supposed to be the high-end one.
Just to say, I mean AI character, not as in a character's AI like Showdown or...
Oh, you didn't mean NPCs?
Stop it now.
We might need to do some editing on the footage from today, and also on all of your memories, if anyone's remember those kind of Men in Black style little pens. That might be handy about now, maybe. Yeah, maybe I should go with something on Minecraft instead. Pigs. Good backpedaling, no one noticed that, everything's fine. We can start a wholesome farm on Minecraft.
What happens if you give one of the pigs 40 crowns?
Before I throw out of the venue, we should go on to another question. Somebody hand me off to somebody else.
Hello. As I've watched all of your videos, I noticed that you're not very mainstream. You always seem to go out for the independent stuff and something that's not heard of. Is that a conscious decision? What leads you to choose what you review or stream, as it would be?
Okay, well, I mean, a lot of my stuff is not necessarily independent stuff. I mean, it's stuff from like the past, like from about 20, 30 years ago, but then that's not always the same with like every video I do. Again, I cover a kind of wide range of things, and has that always been a conscious decision? Yeah, kind of really, because I think personally, if you were to do like just like or if I was to do anyway, like the same thing over and over again, like the same sort of thing, then it kind of gets boring. It's kind of, you have to challenge yourself a bit and kind of contribute to like the community, because I think kind of a lot of people in the community kind of have that similar view, like they don't necessarily want to do the same thing. Everyone's kind of got a whole mix of things, which is kind of what makes the community what it is. It's an entire retro gaming quagmire.
Basically, I just look about my collection and just think, oh, that looks interesting, I'll do that. I just really,
So convenience, you look for the ones that are in your room.
Yeah.
It's a good tactic.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to go outside to find one.
Well, if you've got all the good games, why would you leave the room?
Well, yeah, or if I'm on eBay and then I'm like, oh, I need that for my channel. It's definitely for my channel, so I need that, yeah.
There's an excuse to buy terrible
Yeah.
games. Yeah.
You sound like my husband.
How about you, Lady Nicky?
For me, generally I pick arcade games off of my Raspberry Pi, so I just do a bit of MAME emulation. Mostly pick a game generally based on, is it going to take me very long to capture all of this footage, because what if George wakes up and then I won't be able to finish it, or No, that's generally it. It's just trying to maintain a YouTube channel and look after an almost 1-year-old baby. I generally have to have something that I can complete in an evening once he's already gone to bed. So I have a Raspberry Pi set up on the television in my room so that I can quickly just hook it up to my laptop and capture some footage, because it's just a lot easier for me. And I like the way that on the arcade games you get so much variation between fighting games. Like they're all the same basically. If you're going for the old Capcom and Konami games and so on and so forth, they're all the same sort of thing. It's easy to remember what buttons to press. So there's not really a lot involved. Not unlike The Witcher 3, no. And if you put in 40 crowns...
Ara, what draws you to the indie games?
Well, for me, it's kind of the antithesis of what Twitch is supposed to be. You're supposed to stream the popular games that are guaranteed to get you viewers, and I like having quite a small, intimate community. Not intimate in the same way that she would be intimate, anyway. 40 grams. So I quite like playing games that people necessarily haven't heard of, from people that I speak to on Twitter. I speak to a lot of indie devs on Twitter who will ask me, can you play my game on stream? And I'm more than happy to, because I like interesting games that I haven't seen thousands and thousands of times. I don't like Battle Royale games. I'm not going to name any, but you'll never find me streaming them. I like things that people come along to, they have no preconceived ideas of what they're gonna see, and it gives the game a showcase rather than, oh, I've just turned up to watch somebody else stream this game that everybody else is streaming. I've streamed a fantastic puzzle game called Bear With Me. Has anyone played it?
Yes.
Yes, one person, yay. And that has had my community so enthralled over the last couple of weeks, because nobody's played it, nobody knows anything about it, but I think pretty much everybody that's watched it has gone out to buy it. So that's why I pick things that are a little bit more.
That Bear With Me game, I was not expecting it to be as dark as it is. It was so dark. That's an emotional game. I was quite surprised.
Bring tissues. Again, not the way that she would mean it.
I'd also like to apologise, because I think I just answered your question completely incorrectly. I would like to also blame Tamara for making me laugh, so that I can hear what you asked properly.
I mean, I do a lot of the indie interviews, and I do that partly because I want to showcase the games similar to Arabelle does. And I like helping people find things they'd never find otherwise. And there aren't really enough people doing that, or doing that sort of to the degree that we do. And there are so many gems out there, so many amazing games. The same with like finding old retro games and things that people might not have found, or that are just really difficult to emulate or really expensive to get hold of for themselves, and they want to relive those memories or discover something new. It's just a way of showcasing things that are a bit more unusual. It's quite surprising on Twitch they don't actually have a category for indie yet. So we're kind of playing these games under just chatting or under retro and things like that. And it's a slowly growing community, and hopefully it's something that's going to continue growing. Assuming that playing Shift Quantum as I am at the moment doesn't cause me to smash my computer, because it's an incredible, very, very difficult puzzle game. And again, something that I would never have found if I hadn't have popped along to a particular indie event and happened to have spotted their stall, and they very kindly let me put a camera in front of them. So yeah, it's just about showcasing those unusual things, really. I think that was the last question. Yeah, we are out of time. What I'll get the guys to do is each tell us where they can be found on the interwebs, and maybe what their next bit of content is going to be.
Okay, my channel is YouTube, Kim Justice, youtube.com/KimJustice. You can find me on Twitter. I tend to post a fair bit on there, nothing ever all that serious, I think you'll find. I'm trying to get my Instagram sorted, so there's that as well. I have a Patreon, I have various other places where I'm around and about on the internet, but yeah, my YouTube is obviously the main thing. The main thing I'm working on at the moment is I want to get something big together about the Amiga and Atari Denison, so I'm kind of looking to get people's opinions, thoughts, reminiscences, interviews, all that sort of thing, and that's kind of the next big one. There'll probably be other stuff in between, I'm sure. Yeah. I release every 1-2 Mondays, That's
Hi, you can find me on YouTube under Tomorrowcade. I'm also on Twitter /Tomorrowcade1 and Facebook as the Tomorrowcade. And there's a few things that I've sort of got ideas for working on. One thing that I've been wanting to do a video on for ages is the Guitar Freaks game for PS1. It's kind of like Guitar Hero, but really primitive, and it came with a big plastic controller, but it was released back in 1999, so I just really want to sort of do a video on that. And another one that I wanted to do is a game I picked up today, which was the Famicom, do a review of the Famicom version of Altered Beast, because it's really different than any of the ones on like the Sega consoles and things, and you can turn into a shark man, so that's definitely worth covering for shark man.
You can find me on YouTube by searching Lady Decade. I'm also on Twitter at Lady Decade. You can find me on Instagram, Lady Decade. I did have a Facebook page, but I got rid of it because I barely use Facebook now, and I pretty much only use it for family and friends and a couple of people that I sort of know through the community that I'll have as added friends on there, but I don't really use it enough to warrant that as being anywhere to find me. But yeah, next video, I've captured footage for Metal Slug on the arcade, and I've also captured footage for Ninja Baseball Batman, which was basically like...
That's an amazing game.
Oh, it was lovely. I loved it. It was brilliant. It was quite Pooley-Rular, so I was quite happy with that. So those will probably be my next two videos as soon as I get round to actually recording and editing those together. So fingers crossed soon. But I normally try to say that I would do a video once a week, but it's all lies.
Yeah, I don't hear those.
So I'm Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Aravel or Aravelli if you ask Stan PC Gaming. I stream 3 nights a week. Aravelli, I forgot to tell you. I stream on Tuesday nights, Thursday nights and Friday nights from 9 o'clock, and I'm finishing off the prequel to Bear With Me, which now I've finished the main game, I'm not sure I'm emotionally capable of getting through, but I'll give it my best shot. So if you want to see me cry, come along on Tuesday. It's really dark, that game. It really is. It is. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be able to watch that one. That's all the emotions.
I'll give you 40 crowns to spend.
I think we should talk about this off camera.
Oh dear. You can find me as Trista Bytes on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. I put videos up on Saturdays on YouTube. I asked everyone what the next one's going to be, and I don't actually know what mine is. I'm halfway through editing football videos at the moment. It's going to be which one causes me the least amount of crying to finish. One of them is Retro Hunting in Tokyo, which has got over 200 individual video clips of me hunting for things in all of the incredible shops out there. And there's another couple of awesome retro museums, again with hundreds of clips, because everything was interesting, so I filmed everything. I do make my own life difficult. And I stream Sundays and Mondays playing Indian retro nonsense and stuff and things over on Twitch. So yeah, I want to say thank you for all you guys for coming out on a Sunday, making this absolutely awesome. And thank you for these guys for coming onto the panel. I hope you've all had great fun today. Give these guys a round of applause. And to RetroUnlim for letting us put this panel on. You guys are awesome. And if anyone wants to come up and talk to us, don't ask anything about 40 crowns and maybe take a selfie, you are welcome to. Thank you guys. See you next